All right, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Kayfabe Corner. I'm your host, JPO, Jordan Pierce Owens, and I sit down here with one of the stars of the Florida wrestling scene. I am here with Frostbite, Dravin Frost.
That was an old finishing move that I had. That was the name of it, Frostbite. But
Well, what was it again? Because I thought so.
yeah, it was a Jason would call it a spin doctor. So it's like a reverse DDT, and then you grab them by the arm, and then you spin with it. And you're kind of going into a cutter. He called it a spin doctor. Some people out there called it a spin doctor, and I called it the Frostbite. So, but that was actually my first finishing move. So.
And I said, well, what do you use currently? What's the current finisher in your arsenal?
Well, I actually have to change it now due to having the just walking on by. I call it the Blood Eagle. It's a pop-up lung blower, but after having ACL reconstructed surgery, I have to change it up, and so I'm kind of changing up my whole arsenal of moves right now. So.
Interesting. We'll definitely be talking more about that here pretty soon, about that whole process you've been going through recently as I push my cat off my keyboard. So let's start off with the origin, though, of Dravin Frost. Some may call you Joe. Where does your pro wrestling journey begin? Just as a fan, were you a fan growing up? Where does that begin?
Yeah, I mean, I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I was watching wrestling WWE or WWF back in the day with my dad and my grandfather. And everyone's like, "Who's your favorite wrestler?" I liked them all. I liked Savage. I liked Hogan. I liked the Warrior, Jake the Snake. The list goes on and on. I even like some of those weird characters like the Goon and the Barbarian or the Berserker, because they were just so unique. So growing up, always loved wrestling. Used to wrestle my sisters and used to beat them up all the time. Got grounded numerous times, and a buddy of mine, you know him, Joe White. He said one day when we get older, we'll have our own organization. I said, all right, man, I'm down. And a couple years after that, I bumped into him. He goes, "What are you doing Tuesday night?" And I said, "Nothing." Why? He's like, "Come to a bar in town called Coyotes, and just come by." I said, okay. So I came by and I saw him wrestle. I'm like, there's a wrestling ring here. So I got hooked on that. And then I met some of the guys in the back, and then I just started training from there. I did the occasional backyard wrestling, trampoline wrestling, hardcore matches. That was whatever. But I never used barbed wire, glass, or thumbtacks. Did use chairs and tables. Used a microwave at one point in time too. Yeah, exactly. But started doing my training with Joe, and then I met another guy. I met Jeremy Basil, or Johnny Christ. At the time, he was Deacon Star, and then I met Jason Sanders, and I was kind of training under all three of them. But then I stopped training under Joe. Then I was training with Jason and Jeremy, and those are good friends of mine. They're brothers of mine now, and I've known them for such a long time. And that was back in Omega Pro Wrestling here in Charlotte County, and it was fun. Once
So
they said,
who,
all
who
right,
do you
well,
credit as your main trainer?
my main trainer, I would definitely say Jason and Jeremy. Those, because I learned certain things with Jeremy, and then I learned certain things with Jason. Jason got trained by Roderick Strong back when he was training from the Strong family. Jeremy trained under Jason, but they both had two different styles of wrestling. And so I kind of learned all that, and I trained as a face to start off with. And a lot of people said training as a face is easy. You get a little bit of shine, and then you get your ass kicked for a while, and then you get your hope spot, and then they take it away from you, and then you can kind of go from there. I did that for years as a face. I could sell really good. So, but when you start to want to develop and become something different and go as a heel, it's a challenge because everyone knows me as a nice guy, and I really am a nice guy. So to flip up that switch and then turn into a jerk, sometimes it's really hard to do that. Some people it's easy, and for me it's just hard. But
I love it.
when I have to, I think of things that really upset me, and things I can't do nothing about, whether it's like my job or something at home or an argument I've had with my family, something like that. And then usually that kind of helps me kind of get into that jerk role. So, but, go ahead.
What's the time frame that we're talking here to? How old are you, and what year is this that you're starting off in?
Let's see here. I started wrestling 2007, and let's see here. I was about 23 years old to actually get in a wrestling ring and take my first bump. And taking that first bump, man, that's a shock to the system. For about a week, I had headaches just constantly because I was hitting my head. And they said, you got to tuck your chin, And I finally started tucking my chin and never had a headache after that. But yeah, I was a scrawny kid. I was like 180 pounds. And everyone back then was a huge Hardy fan, the Hardys, I should say. So my look was baggy jeans and a tight t-shirt style. I did a swanton off the top rope. Couldn't do any mic work. I can tell you that right now. I could not. If you said, here's the microphone, say something, I'd be like, yeah, welcome to OPW, and that'd be it. I had nothing. But picking a name was actually the hardest thing because I had a couple of names in my mind. And
yeah, that was the next question. Any other names? Where did Dravin Frost come from? Any other names that you considered or even used for a little bit?
I wanted to go underneath a mask and pull out this really hardcore gangster called Drive-By. Yeah, like camo, not New Jack style, but camoed out.
Called Drive-By?
Drive-By, yeah. Okay. And my first match, they said, "Are you gonna wear your camo shorts, no shirt?" Because I had a referee that night, and then they gave me a bandana. They said cut holes in it. So I said, "All right, so I can use my name." They're like, "No, you're gonna go under as like Emilio something." It was a funny name that Jason had for a character years ago. So I came out as that. It was just a squash match.
You don't remember what you were, man? I want to know this so badly now. Emilio.
It was Emilio something, like Emilio Sanchez or some crap like that. And it was just, I just went out there. It was like opening match, just go out there, get your ass kicked. And that was pretty much it. And that's what I did. And then as I was going through all my training, I was like, all right, maybe I'll go under as like James Vanguard. And
now, why is that?
Now, it was the street that I lived on, and it was my middle name.
Okay.
Like they say, like that's your porn name is your middle name in the street you lived on. Mm-hmm. So James Vanguard, and I'm like, I don't want to use that. And my buddies and I, we did not online gaming, but we did a lot of gaming competitions. And everyone knew our names, so we all had nicknames, and you couldn't pick your name; it had to be given to you. I'm a huge Sub-Zero fan from Mortal Kombat, and right then is when they brought in the female Sub-Zero Frost, and using her, I was deadly with her. But then they said we need to give you a first name. So as they sat around, just smoking cigarettes all night long and then drinking, they're just like Dravin. And it's not spelled with an E-N, spelled with an I-N, because they're fans of the movie The Crow, Eric Dravin. So that's how I got Dravin Frost. Mm-hmm. And at one point in time, I was like, I'll change it down the road, and it just stuck, and I never went back and just
So
stayed with.
who came up with Dravin? Was it Jeremy or who did it again?
It was a group of friends that I grew up with.
Okay.
And we did like Halo competitions, and just everyone knew our
You
names.
still play Halo?
Every now and then, I kind of got burned out on Halo.
I want to play with you now. All right, we'll talk about that later.
But I went with Dravin Frost and still use it to this day, man.
Now, did you say where the Frost was? Oh, he's a Sub-Zero. Okay, so was there anything else you ever did besides that and Eduardo? You know where I'm getting at.
Yeah. So OPW closed shop, and me, Joe, and Jason were going to Tampa, and they came up with the Omaha Hustlers, which was Joe was Funky Fresh, Jason was Ray Ray, and I was their hype man, MC Vanilla Scoop. And I was decked out, white t-shirt, white pants, white shoes, white hat, and I was like the DJ pretty much. But I wasn't the DJ. I came out with the boombox. If we were using a foreign object, I used the boombox. And I had like 3 matches up there, and it was in a church, so I had to watch my tongue a lot. And they said if you cuss, you're gone. So I got hurt one night, and I kind of just stepped away. I got dropped on my head twice, and I got punched square in the jaw. And this is, I'm like about 1.5 years, 2 years in, and I stepped away for a couple of years just to kind of I was going through a really bad breakup, and I needed to step away because I thought I'll just use it as my escape from everything. It just didn't work, so I stepped away from wrestling for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And then
what drew you back in then? What brought you back in?
I was kind of forced into it. Joe was this is how I met the guys at NEW. This is how I met you and Zach and everyone else. And he was doing a show. It was like Valentine's Day or something like that. And Joe was telling me, I have a show coming up at the school, and I want you to be in it. I'm like, dude, I'm done. I'm done with wrestling. And he said, well, you're tough. You're tough. It's booked. You're already booked. I said, oh, okay. And this is how I met Zach Monstar. And he had a gimmick too that looked like a Hardy Boy. So he's like, you guys will match great. You guys can do this and that, blah, blah, blah. So Zach reached out to me. We talked for hours, got to know each other pretty well. And then the day of the show is when they changed everything up. And that ring was
Wait, were you guys set to tag?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It was me and Zach against Manny Chaos and Robbie Cook Jr., I'll say it that way. And that didn't work out. Zach was brought out of that match and put into something completely different. I think it was a 4-way dance against not what was Gio's name before? Oh, Chris
Legend.
Yeah. But then Chris went against Tim that day too, and we're out in the sun too, so that's pretty bad. But
hey, man, card sets with the changes,
Oh, yeah, and it did for sure. I did a leg drop off the second rope, which was like one of my signature moves, and the ring broke, and I almost went through the ring. It was that funny, and it just turned into a hardcore match outside, just like that. So, but then I started wrestling down in Fort Myers, met you, and joined the NEW crew. They were I think I just started a year in, and I was with them until they closed down. So that was fun times, a lot of fun times.
So when you do that first match back, which it sounds like you were not just taking a break, it sounds like you were done in your mind for a little while there. What brings you back in, more or less full time? Like, did you just enjoy that first match back, or did it slowly trickle? Like, what brought you really back in?
I really enjoyed the crew. That was the big thing too, is meeting you, Zach, Dustin, Chris and Justin, and meeting that crew and just how it was just a nice, tight family. And that's what kind of brought me back into it. I didn't really go to practice that much because practice fell on a day that I had to work and I had to pay the bills. And I was in a relationship with my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. And it kind of just started to get back into it and started building this character, which then became, a true Dravin Frost character, and went through the stages of changing up my look and my outfit, which was, a lot of just, hey, what's around the house? Oh, baggy jeans. All right, I'll put those on. And once I started to get noticed, I started changing up my gear. I got kick pads, and then I got tights, and tried all that stuff. But it's the crew. That will definitely make or break anybody in an organization is having. I mean, you're out there, you're training together, and then you guys are actually building that match. You're talking the match out, and then you go and perform it, and that's the cool thing about it. So.
Absolutely. So you've been in now 10 plus years. What are some of your favorite matches and moments? Who have you really clicked with in that ring?
I've really clicked with Zach Monstar, and there's times where he really he gets on my nerves, and I really want to punch him in the face. But we can go out there and we can talk a match in the back for about 5 minutes, and then everything else we just call everything in the ring. It's just we just have a good chemistry in the ring. Same thing with Jeremy or Johnny Ruda, whatever what he's going by now. And we just have a good click. I really enjoyed working. Leo Rush was a lot of fun. I wish it was more of a one-on-one match because he's just so talented.
Maybe we'll make that happen now.
Yeah, I know. That'd be pretty cool, man. It's he's definitely a really good talent. I saw some of his stuff before he came to do that show a couple years back, and I was just like, wow, this guy's awesome. I just want to launch him. I just seriously just want to throw him in the air and just uppercut him. Working Mecha Wolf 450. I'm a huge fan of his, and I was going through a whole new character change, and in a way, I kind of took a little bit of what he was doing, but then I made it my own to become what I am now, which is kind of this whole Viking gimmick and building that character. Some matches that really stand out is the first cage match that we had against it was me, Zach, Chico Adams, which that guy's definitely been going everywhere now, and Chuck Davis. My first time ever winning a championship back in NEW, where I won the championship, and then Giovanni the Greatest went ahead and cashed in on me, and I lost it that night. That was in NEW, in Real Pro, going through the brackets to become the first ever Top Crown champion, heavyweight champion, which it was the original belt from the OPW days, and I've been chasing that belt. Yep, I love that belt, man. I love that belt so much. And I chased that for years, and I finally got it. And I held it for almost a year, and then I lost it to Sideshow. And Jason just recently made it gold again, so it's not that platinum gray anymore.
How do you even do that? That's always been something I don't really know how it's done. How do you change the color scheme of the belt?
Well, that belt was already gold, and it just got so tarnished because the other owner didn't take good care of it. He just kind of used it for whatever. And then once Zach got the belt back, or bought the belt, Manny went ahead, and one of our friends, Manny, he went ahead and painted it and made the Omega symbol stand out and put a little bit of gold in there. And then when I won the belt, I went ahead and super glued jewels all around it to kind of make it stand out more. But those those fell off because everyone's going to use the championship as a weapon as always. So, but yeah, winning my first time winning the tag team championship with Zach. My new goal is to win the Coastal. So that's kind of my.
Yeah, Mister, you want to be a Triple Crown champ? That's why, huh?
I want to be a Triple Crown, but then I want to be. I think that when I decide to retire, I want to go after that hardcore title and be the first quadruple crown champion. Win all 4 belts, man. That's kind of the goal. So
what would that be? Yeah, the quadruple crown, or I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I guess I'm not sure, but that's the goal. I mean, I'm not crazy about. I love watching hardcore matches at times, but if it's done right, I'm not big on deathcore or the death matches. Those are there's too much crap going around this world now between just diseases and viruses and stuff, and you could do a hardcore match without bleeding. So some people are like, I gotta go ahead and cut out my face. I'm like, dude, man, if you cut too deep, man, you're gonna scar your face up. I mean, if I get a scar on my face, as long as it's a scar going down my eye, I'm cool with that. But if it's like going across my forehead, nah, I don't want that.
So what do you say to people like your good friend Zach?
Yeah, well, when he did his first death match, I'm sitting out there just shaking my head the whole time. And there's a couple of times he looked over at me, and I'm just shaking my head like a disappointed dad. That's really what it was. I was just like, yeah, you didn't have to do that. Now he's done multiple death matches and stuff, and he's built himself as this hardcore death match guy, that's fine, but just not my cup of tea, man.
You're not entering the tournament of death anytime soon, Dravin?
No. I you gotta think if we're in WWE or ROH, they you get tested, you get checked out, you go get blood work done, make sure you don't have AIDS or hepatitis or any crazy blood diseases and viruses. And in the indies of what we do, like some guys, you don't know what they do. You don't know it's hard because I'm putting my body out there on the line, and I'm trusting you with my body to make sure that I don't get hurt. And I'm doing the same thing for you, but you might protect me, but next thing you know, blood, sweat, whatever, those fluids, interchange between us. Next thing you know, I'm coming home with freaking hepatitis C or some crap like that. And, I'm not about that life, I mean, it's bad enough. Like I'll come home from a show, I take a cap full of bleach, I throw it in the tub, and I fill it up, and I give myself a bleach bath. And I'm not even lying about that either, man. It disinfects everything. So.
And if you want to see more, check on his Patreon, and you can see those bleach baths.
Oh man, yeah, that was a big middle finger to the OnlyFans. So the fans only pages.
This is more controversy, man. This show just had its own controversy, actually, too, a little bit. Yeah, this show, yeah. It's just something's gonna make someone mad somewhere, man. I just want to interview people.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, you guys are. It's funny how some people get so upset about exposing the business, but the business exposed itself years ago. I mean, if you try to watch how, dude, I can watch PWG and Ring of Honor, and I can just put it on slow motion. I can learn how to do every single move. I don't want to, because some of those moves are pretty crazy, like a Spanish fly off the top rope. I won't do it. I know my limitations, so do it. Yeah, right.
What are some of your favorite promotions you've worked for now over the last decade? I haven't really ventured out as much as I wanted to.
because I've had a lot of people like, dude, you probably make great money. You can, it's selling your merchandise and working, 3, 4, 5 shows a day, or not a day, a week. And you're like, this is my budget. This is how much I want to get paid at every show. And a lot of guys out there make a living off of it, and that's awesome. But I work a full-time job. So me going out and working a Saturday night in Orlando where you might make $100, me being a bartender, like, that's my bread and butter right there. That pays my mortgage every month. So that I can't really pass up that kind of money. But I enjoyed NEW, New Era Wrestling. I really did, because that kind of really helped me become me. It got me out of my shell. That's what wrestling did for me, is that got me out of my shell where, I was a hermit, and then also being a bartender, it really gets you out of that comfort zone of, being so quiet. Like, you got to talk. So with NEW and Real Pro, those are like, they're my tops, because they got me to become more vocal in a lot of things. I really like Tampa Pro. They got some good guys there. They got some really good some really good talent out there, which I'm really happy for. I really want to work Ronin once and Evolve, but once I had that one match in PWG out in California, then I can retire. Then I'm like, all right, I'm done. Just opening match. That's all I need. Just let me do a dark match.
Well, then you're gonna have to start doing those 4 or 5 shows a week if you want to get to there.
No, I know. It's funny because I've watched so many people go work the indies, and like, they were some no-name guys who really didn't do anything. Like, they've done small promotions, and they're like, all right, we're just gonna bring you in and let you get your ass kicked. And then next thing you know, PWG, they got a lot of guys that are going back. They were from Lucha Underground to Ring of Honor to AEW, New Japan. All those guys, like, they're in that circle, man. I mean, I would love to just do one match. It's like what's the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's like, what's your Make-A-Wish? One match in PWG. I don't care who it's against, for 5 minutes. That's all. Just let me get my ass kicked for a little bit, and I can retire.
Well, good luck with the Make-A-Wish audition.
I mean, hey, listen, they've asked, a lot of people are like, what's your retirement match? I'm like, there's a couple of guys I want to work. Like, I got back into wrestling because of El Generico and Kevin Steen. Like, those 2 guys really got me back into wrestling, and so did Pac. But
I would say Pac just returned. The other 2 are retired.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, Generico, he saved those orphans in that burning church in Tijuana.
That's true. Very, very true. But the one guy that really got me into PWG was Super Dragon. And if I could have one match with him, I could just be like, all right, I'm done. I don't need to do anything.
I want to wrestle Andre the Giant, but sometimes things just don't work out. So.
Hey, he's supposedly retired, but I mean, I guess he had a really bad concussion or an ankle injury or something, from what I read. And I'm like, dude, just go out there, hit me a couple of times, give me curb stomp, psycho driver, and let's just take it home, man.
I'm sure you're not the only one willing to do that, if you wanted to do that. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's
into the stars, huh?
It's that mystique, like that's the whole thing between, all about Super Dragon, man. So.
Speaking of mystique, let's talk about the kind of transition we've seen in your character over these last couple of years. As you kind of mentioned before, maybe kind of some video game, Star Wars inspired. Now you're more of this little more serious, Viking kind of badass, if you will, here. So where was the transition? How would you describe your character now?
When I really started to build my character years ago, I had that Assassin's Creed look going on. and it was the pure baby face, the good guy. And then when I'm not even gonna lie, I started to get really mad with politics in the background, and I started to I wanted to be a heel. So when I became a heel, I started to change up my gimmick. I just that wolf mentality, that alpha wolf, which is really where it started to come into play. And me and Zach, I actually turned on Zach and just kind of went on my own with Jason as my manager, Ethan Carnage, and we just did that. And the thing that's rough is that when you're in an organization for so long, people know you as a face, getting over as a heel is really hard. It's that much harder. Like if I went to Tampa and was, this new guy and I shook hands and high-fived everyone, but then I just went instant heel, people are going to hate me really quick. But as I started to slowly, transform myself into this new character, this alpha wolf, like I said, I took some pieces from Mecha Wolf and started to really make my own character. Come to find out, I have some Scandinavian in me, so I have Viking in me, which is really cool. And I really got into the Viking show, and I started growing my beard before this whole thing. You know what? Let me rewind that. I started growing my beard after I completely shaved it off. And I said, I'll never grow it back, or I'll never shave it again. And I had to start growing this long ass beard, and everyone's, we're like, dude, you look like a Viking. And I have axes that I would throw at a board outside. So I started to kind of make this new character where I was this alpha wolf Viking character, not a lone wolf, but an alpha wolf. And then me and Zach made the House of Wolves, and we really started to build up the wolves. Then we had, Jason was already with me. Then Johnny came into play, and we became the House of Wolves. And I never really, in that group, I never made myself the alpha. I was just kind of dubbed the alpha, and I just stayed. I try to stay true to that. I don't need to go out there and go full speed into something. I'll sit back a little bit and I'll watch what's going on. And then from there, that's when I decide, all right, now I'm going to make my attack. But this new look, this new character with the cape and the Roman tassel, the Roman, the hell is it called? It's the Roman skirt. Just started really going. I kind of, like to thank God of War for that, because if it wasn't for that game, I would, when I'd be still kind of figuring out what I was aiming for. At one time I was just kind of putting things together, and all right, I'm gonna wear Star Wars leggings and see what happens from there, and change this up and change that up, and a Viking Jedi came out of nowhere at one point in time as well, where I used the Force to choke slam Johnny. So, but this. So many people were pissed off about that, but it was funny at the same time.
Now Zach wants to do it himself because he wants to copy you.
What was that?
And now Zach wants to copy you.
Yeah. I tried to get him into Star Wars years ago, and he just never budged. And then it kind of took his wife to get him into it. Now he's like, oh, man, I love Star Wars. I'm like, dude, I've been at this game since I was 6. Don't try to pull that on me.
And now I'm sudden that. Now all of a sudden he has tattoos and everything about it now. I was like, really, man? All right.
Yeah, like I don't care if he gets a tattoo. However, I got really upset when he started tattooing his face. But that's.
Hey, not both, but that's hey, man.
What's that?
I said you and me both, but what can you do?
Yeah, I look at him and just shake my head. So that's all I really can do.
Pretty common shake.
Yeah, 100%, man.
So you self-admittedly have mentioned how you haven't really branched out as much, and that's because of your own accord. You know, you've become more of this family man. You're married now. You have a child on the way. You know, where was the decision and where that was your primary focus? Because everyone's different. Some people put wrestling first. You put family first. Was that ever a decision, or was it just that was your priority?
In the beginning, I said I wanted to make it to the big league and work for WWE or Ring of Honor, PWG. That was kind of the goal. And as I started to get a little bit older, I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I'm like, yeah, this is more of a hobby, and it's more fun. So I'm like, I'm not gonna really branch out too much, because if I can go to a promotion and let's just say I make $100 working, and then I sell 10 T-shirts at $20, yeah, that's a good night. But I mean, you would have to do that every single so many days a week. You would have to just to go ahead and do that. Whereas, I could work at the bar and make a good chunk of change in a week and then pay all that. My wife, she's one of my biggest fans. She's one of my biggest supporters. She sells my merchandise. She helps me with Alpha Wolf Beer Bomb and Oil, which is my beard company, and she knows a lot of this stuff about that as well.
You let Deacon Pile Driver.
Yeah, I let.
It's not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, hey, Liz, like, she's a trooper, man. It's funny when a girl who does not train, has never been in a ring, can take a move better than girls that have been training for years. Just saying, kind of. Just gonna stir that pot just a little bit,
Yeah, that's all. I'm not saying that.
But as I got older, I just said, this is just a hobby that I really enjoy, and when I get to a certain age, I'll hang up the boots. And then just this last October I had my first major injury where I did a move. I've done a
That's the next thing we're gonna do here is run me through this, Draven. What happens here, man?
Oh man, you really had to bring this up. So, God, I can tell you everything. So we're doing our chain wrestling, which is our the pretty standard thing. And when I take over, I've done this move, I don't know how many times. Maybe it was the new ring, but then I realized, here I go, and then I do the backflip, and there it goes. So what happened is, number one, I'm on the wrong arm. Here's another thing that takes me off. That camera guy sucks, because he could have panned down to see where I was and to see what was going on. Did nothing. I hit the move, and my knee, instead of me landing towards the middle of the ring, which is what you're supposed to do because it's the softest spot, my knees went inwards. They kind of, it's so hard to explain. My physical therapist, who has had 5 ACL reconstructive surgeries, he was a Division I offensive guard, and he did the whole thing. He said he looked at it. He goes, "I know exactly what you did, and when you land, I should land here and then kind of roll backwards. But instead, when I landed, my right knee clicked inside, so it kind of did kind of like this, and I felt the pop. I heard the pop, and I'm like, maybe it's just my meniscus, because I've torn my meniscus, my left knee. My meniscus has been torn for years, and I never got surgery. But I'm like, maybe it's just that. And as soon as I rolled out, my foot barely even touched the ground. I knew that it was very, very serious. And as I said, like I used my right hand and I wasn't even thinking. I had something else on my mind that day. I was just so upset about something, and I should have gone on my left. And I did the move, did the flip, landed, popped it, and that was that. And I was also on the hardest spot of the ring too, which is like the death zone, which is what happened. And that was my first major injury that I've ever had. Knock on wood. And had to get ACL reconstructive surgery, torn my meniscus. The doctor's like, you blew your knee out. So, and I haven't been in the ring since then. And do physical therapy every week. I'm almost done actually. I'm most likely going to be done right before my child's born. It's probably when I'll be done with my physical therapy.
When's that?
My son's due in 5 weeks, so June 14th is when he's due. I think he's going to be here a little earlier. So
we have a name, Jordan.
We have 2 names picked out, but I always throw curveballs at her. So I'm like, what about Corbin Dallas? And she goes, what? I said, yeah, Corbin Dallas multipass, from Fifth Element. She's like, no. I said, all right, well, if he has 2 different color eyes, like one blue, one green, his name's going to be Odin. She's like, no. I said, all right, fine. What about Atticus? And she's like, where are you coming up? Who names these? Where are you finding these names? I'm like, these are just names I just think are really cool. So I've gone with like Atticus. I've gone with Atreus. But right now we're leaning more towards Josiah and Joseph. So it'd be named after me. So we're kind of
in that. You like names with J-O, so you're not far off from Jordan, Josiah.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I mean, it's
all the same.
I wanted to go with like a Star Wars theme, like Anakin or Obi-Wan. Not Obi-Wan, but like Obi, like Ben, like Benjamin. But she ain't having it. So
let me just say this, Dravin. You want that coastal title? You name that kid Jordan.
Wink, wink. Yeah. I just got to win a Money in the Bank match, and then I'll be good to go, man. That's when I'll cash in. So.
Oh, we got to call it something different. Money in the Tank or something. I don't know.
How about just have a Money in the Briefcase or something. I don't know. We can come up with something. I'm pretty sure the higher ups of NEW or of Real Pro can definitely come up with an idea. So
we did need to have another ladder match though. So that's for sure.
That's something that kind of bummed me out is that the first ladder match, I wanted to be involved in that, but I couldn't because I was the heavyweight champion.
Well, that's a good spot, though. You were higher on the card. Even I was involved in that match.
I wanted to be the first because if you really look at it, everything that we've done in Real Pro, we've had somebody, I will not name them, be in everything of the first. The first cage, the first ladder match, the first death match. I was in the first hardcore match, but it's nothing but love. And I really wanted to be in that one. I even said if we ever do a ladder match, I want first. And unfortunately, I was the heavyweight champion. So
what an unfortunate thing to be. Yeah, sorry you were heavyweight champion. I couldn't be in the crystal title match.
I want to make history. That's my thing. So then when people go back,
you got the cage and the hardcore and the top round.
Yeah. I gotta chase that again. So we'll see what
aspirations. So I guess that answers another future question. Is so you are coming back. You are on the return train, right?
Yeah. I mean, right now, I actually have physical therapy tomorrow. I'm going to talk to my physical therapist and see, because they had me running, they got me jumping, they got me doing a lot of things. I want that comeback to be very, very memorable for a lot of people. So it's picking the right time to come back. It could be August, it could be next year. I haven't really made a decision yet on it. I take everything one day at a time. I try not to jump the gun too fast, because I'll just end up getting hurt again. And I really don't want to go through this again. this was having this knee problem, this knee situation, made me really step back and look at a lot of things differently. Like now, when I watch wrestling on TV, and I see Charlotte do a moonsault to the outside and lands on her feet, or Aleister Black, I just cringe because your foot placement is key, and it just like that, you can tear that ACL and you're in a lot of trouble. Look at Seth Rollins when he did the match against Kane, and he did the power bomb, and he broke, or he didn't break. He snapped his ACL, his MCL, and his meniscus. Like that's some serious crap right there.
And like you said, just similar to you. I mean, this is a move that has done how many times? Just the one time, just you hit wrong.
Yep. When Seth did it against Roman, and he went over him, he was actually holding his leg and his bad leg, and he was actually bringing him down slower, so that way he wouldn't land so hard and hurt his knee again. There was a talk about that I just saw the other day. But yeah, my whole moveset's changing up. Like that top rope lucha arm drag is retired now. We're not doing that anymore. No way.
So besides Super Dragon and El Generico and Davey Boy Smith, give me some more like local dream matches. Who in Florida have you looked at and gone, oh, I could do some cool stuff with him?
I mean, I've done a lot with Zach. So like if I was, I wouldn't want to really do too much with him.
Yeah, that's not the question. So all right.
What was that?
I said, all right, that's not the question. Who do you want to work with?
Who do I want to work with?
Who have you seen in Florida, or even anywhere in the U.S. that's a little more doable than the main event of PWG that you would like to work with?
Yeah. Damn, that's a really good question to be very honest. Because I mean, I try to watch wrestling from all around the world, and it's sometimes just a little bit of a challenge because there's so much going on. Sorry, now my dogs are going crazy. But it's tough. I mean, like there was one guy, like James Drake, I want to work for sure.
Possible.
Yeah. I mean, I know he chops like he could cut down trees with his chops. The Main Street Posse, those are two guys I really want to work. What?
Even wrestling again, man. Can we have?
Yeah. No, for real. They wrestle up north. I think two of them were just on PWG. A couple. You sure?
The Main Street Posse on PWG. What are you smoking, Dravin?
I'm not smoking anything. Not the Mean Street Posse. The Main. MAN. Yes.
Okay. I thought you were trying to fight Pete Gas and Rodney.
Yeah, absolutely. The Culmination, which is they're out of IWA, I think it is. Atticus Cogger and his brother Otis. Those are two guys I wouldn't mind really working in the future. But it's like I want to wrestle anybody. That's my thing. I'm always down to wrestle whoever. If Cedric Alexander's like, hey, I want to work you. I'm like, all right, let's do this. I 100%. Leo Rush, I wouldn't mind working him again. Mecha Wolf, I'll work him again for sure. Because he says I owe him another match, so that's for the future.
Let's see that happen.
What was that?
I said, let's do that. You and Mecha Wolf again.
Oh yeah. I might need to go to California though. That's where he moved to now. So.
Found Cedric for you.
I would love to work Ricochet. I'll tell you that, man. That'd be a lot of fun. Chris Jericho would be cool. That'd be a fun match too, as well. But
We got some high hopes here, man. I love it though.
If you don't have high hopes, just what are you doing then? That's the thing.
So let's talk about one of your new ventures outside of pro wrestling here. As we can see live on this video, if you're watching the video portion, got that glorious beard, man. Let's talk about the new beard venture you got going on. Let's do some plug skis for if anyone's wondering.
Yeah, absolutely. After I grew out my beard, I was getting stuff from another company, and I said, I could probably make this stuff. So I did some research, and I made my own blend that is not only does it get rid of the itch, gets rid of the dandruff, helps with beard growth and beard thickness, and keeps your beard hydrated. I came up with Alpha Wolf Beard Balm and Oil, and all the products is all natural and organic products. None of the synthetic stuff, which like a fragrance that some companies do use, but mine's all essential oils, which is good for your skin and good for your health in general. So you don't get that burn. I've had a lot of people like, I got this stuff from Walmart and my face burns. And I said, here's a sample, try this, tell me what you think. And like, dude, my face feels so much better. So they go with that. I make oil, I make balm, I make mustache wax that I call whisker wax. I make soap as well that not only does it clean your beard, but it also hydrates your beard. And I make everything from scratch. I use a lot of local ingredients. I get beeswax from a lady down the road that's all organic too. But you can look at all this stuff at alphawolfbeards.com. We do have a Facebook page. We do have an Instagram page. I try to post as much as I can, but unfortunately I'm so busy that it sometimes it's a challenge. Even if it's just to say, hey, what's going on? We're still selling stuff, selling products. But it's been definitely an adventure. I've been doing it for about 2 years now, and it's a lot of fun. I've gone to a couple different events, and I've had a lot of bikers actually really like the product, not only because of the name, but the smell is really good too. And I just have four scents to choose from that I like, and I'm not selling something that I don't like. If it doesn't work for me, I'm not going to sell it. But if I really like that smell, like an earthy spice or a woodsy or a citrus, like I test it for a month, and then I just go from there. So, but other new adventures besides the beard company, got like I said, got a baby on the way. That's a big thing for me right now. It's my first kid. I might step away from wrestling once he's here, but I mean, who knows? We'll see what the future holds for sure.
You're gonna step away, but then he's gonna grow up and be like, Dad, I want to see you wrestling. You're gonna pull a Goldberg, aren't you?
Probably. Yeah.
I'm not letting you defeat our champion though in 5 seconds. So if you come back, be ready to work.
If it's set up that way, let's do it. I'm not afraid to work anybody. That's the thing. I'm always there.
Nick Gage, death match.
Who?
Nick Gage in a death match.
I don't really know who Nick Gage is. Now I'm going to look him up. Yeah. I mean, if it's in the right standards of what I want to work, then yeah, absolutely. But if it's like, hey, you're going to do a death match, I'm going to be like, yeah, nah, I'm cool on that. I'll pass. You got to pay me a little bit more than, $20. So,
2 hot dogs.
$20 and 2 hot dogs. There you go.
I didn't say anything about $20, but so you kind of hinted at it already. I always like to ask people though, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you think you're out of the business by then? Are you still maybe popping up here and there? Are you being just a family man? Where do we see Dravin Frost? Dravin Frost. Is it just Joe by then?
But in 5 years, there's that saying, never say never. I think at one point in time, I within 5 years, I'll be 41. I'll probably step away for a little bit, but then I'm pretty sure I'll be back. Whether it's ring announcing or doing commentary, I'm pretty sure I'll have something with a local wrestling organization for sure. Absolutely.
Unless I spot for you, kid.
Was that?
We'll find a spot for you, kid.
There we go. That's hey, listen. If I gotta announce people, on their entrance, I'll do it. I'll have a lot of fun with it too. But I'm not promising that they're gonna like it. So
You're gonna fire very quickly.
oh,
Any other thing you want to say to the adoring public, Mr. Dravin Frost?
Thank you so much for following me on this journey. Like that's the biggest thing. You know, I've met a lot of people in the 10 plus years of wrestling. It's definitely got me out of my shell. And if you're interested in it, don't let something hold you back to actually go and enjoy something. There's always, you may not be athletic and you might be shy, but in the wrestling world, there's always something for everyone. Some people really enjoy putting the ring together. It's a huge accomplishment. It's a giant erected, this structure that you have to put, build and put together. Some people really enjoy that. Some people really enjoy talking. There's always a spot in wrestling, and I would definitely say go out and try it. Worst case scenario, you don't like it. It's not gonna kill you. Yeah, it can't steer you wrong, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it'll definitely help you progress in a lot of things. Like I said, it helped me get out of my shell, and now I can do interviews like this. I can go on the radio and talk about things. I can grab a microphone and make fun of somebody. I'm not doing stand-up comedy like you, but I can at least grab a microphone and say some things that actually make sense. So, but yeah. And like I said, if you need to get your beard game on point, I guarantee you, go to alphawolfbeards.com, look at the products. If you have any questions, please email or text. You will definitely get a response. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook. And if you really want to get your game up, man, I'm going for wizard. That's the goal. I'm trying to go for the wizard look.
I've been there from well, I've known you now for 10 years. I've seen this thing grow, baby, and this thing is crazy. I've seen clean shaven too, so yeah.
Yeah. I got my hair is super long now. It's down to like the middle of my back. So, wrestling is something that you can become somebody for 20, 30 minutes and go back to being the average guy again. But you get to be that superhero in that time, or that villain in that time frame. So, but yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from the Alpha Wolf, we thank you, man. Draven's been a pleasure chatting with you. Hopefully, we'll see you back in the ring sooner than later. I mean, first of all, there is no rings right now to get in anyway, so it's a good time to heal up because there's nothing else to do anyway.
And believe me, that's definitely what I've been doing lately. So just healing up and getting stronger. That's all I really can do right now.
Awesome, man. Well, good chat with you. Good talk here from Dravin Frost, JPO Jordan Persons, and even Cedric Alexander. Thank you for checking out some Kayfabe chats. Keep it Kayfabe.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man.